And good evening, this is Bob W6CGX, and I'll be your net control operator for tonight's Papa Great Outdoor Net. This net meets every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Pacific. This is a directed net, so please go through net control at all times, and your cooperation is always greatly appreciated. Stations with emergency or priority traffic can come into the net at any time with a double break, and net control will respond appropriately. The Papa system is an open membership supported system in the Southern California area with coverage from the Mexican border to Paso Robles and from the Channel Islands to Las Vegas, Nevada. If you're a visitor to the Papa system tonight, I invite you to go to papasys.com. That's PAPASYS.com and register as a guest. With your guest registration, you'll have 45 days of free access to the Papa system. At the end of your one-time 45-day guest access period, we'd love for you to become a subscribed member, continue to use the Papa system on a daily basis, and be part of the Papa system family. However, all amateurs are welcome to participate in the daily, weekly, and monthly Papa system nets regardless of their membership status. Again, this is the Papa system, Great Outdoor Net. And good evening. This is Bob W6CJX here in Camarillo, California, Ventura County. And this is the Papa System Great Outdoor Net. We meet here every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Hope everyone's having a nice weekend. What a great weekend for weather, getting out and hiking, biking, boating, whatever else starts with a B and an H and a... Anyway, sounded like a good time. Even if you hike to the mailbox, it's better than nothing. I didn't make it on my bike this week. Darn it. It came that close, though. It was very close. Let's see. What else we got going on here? Well, happy Sunday. And let's go with some announcements. We'll get those out of the way. We do have one more luncheon coming up for this month, and that's in Orange County, so stand by.
Here is the Papa System weekly calendar for the latest news and upcoming events. The Papa Orange County Luncheon. The Papa System will be meeting in person on Saturday, March 28th at 11:30 a.m. at the Sizzler in Fullerton. 1401 North Harbor Boulevard, Fullerton, California. Everyone is welcome. Come on out and meet some of the people who you hear and enjoy talking to on the air. We will be offering ham license testing at 10 a.m. for technician, general and amateur extra class licenses. Please RSVP for the luncheon at 11:30 and register for ham license testing at 10 a.m. on the Papa website. As always, the Papa Quick Start program runs in conjunction with all our test sessions and is a benefit for newly licensed technician class ham radio operators. Please see the Papa website for more information. You are encouraged to check in on the Papa System Wednesday night, New Hams Net with Steve, KI6LOV, at 7 p.m. and let him know that you were part of the Quick Start program. The New Hams Net is a great place to get together with fellow new hams and a safe place to throw out your first call on your new radio. Door prizes? We've got 'em. Our Papa partners have agreed to support our breakfasts and luncheons with their products for door prizes. One winner will be able to select from 5 different prizes. The goal is to help raise funds for Papa System future improvement projects. So please, come out and support your local Papa breakfast and luncheons. All this information and a whole lot more can be found on the Papa website at papasys.com.
And there you go. That's the skinny for this week. We do have the luncheon down in Orange County, so if you're available to go to that one, please do. And we need to. It'd be nice to have a few more people at each one of these events. Again, this is Bob W6CJX for the Papa System Great Outdoor Net, and let's see tonight. I'll give a little bit away. We're going to talk a little bit and find out some information that I didn't know, and I have a feeling a few of you don't know about bald eagles. We know about them up in the Big Bear. We know about them up in Lake Casitas. I've seen them in person, and they are beautiful creatures. So, but we're going to find out a little bit about the history of the bald eagle, and then ask the question, have you ever seen one live or in person? I did, finally, but it's interesting how I did. Okay, we're going to pause for, what do we got coming up next? Tales from the Trail. How about Steve? Let's see if Steve, KI6LOV, are you out there for us?
Well, good evening, Bob, and everyone out here on the Outdoor Net. This is Steve, KI6LOV, fresh off the trail. And I do have a tale from the trail. But first, as long as Bob brought up the Big Bear bald eagles, I'll mention that 1 week from Tuesday, the 31st of March, will be Pip Watch beginning, which is the time when you can expect at least one of the eggs to begin hatching within a few days there. So that's always a fun time. All right, it was a very beautiful weekend up in Big Santa Anita Canyon, and at my cabin the weather was just about perfect, right in the low 70s. And so anyway, I left there this morning to hike out, and when I got partway out, I heard a group of people coming up behind me, and I thought, okay, I'd rather not be caught by a huge bunch of Boy Scouts or the like. So I started going as fast as I possibly could within my limits, and managed to make it just about a mile before they were sort of closing in. And right about then, I came to a really sketchy section of trail that I mention to Bob every time I get there. And there's one place where I like to make radio calls because it's very high and steep and rocky. And so I continued on, and when I got another 50, 60 yards farther, I met up with a couple of mountain bikers coming up the trail towards me. When I saw them, I noticed immediately that they were very unsteady, and when they kind of got off their bikes to let me go by, they were obviously new mountain bikers, and they were just beginning that narrow and real sandy section of trail. And I suggested to them that they make sure and walk their bikes. Now, back in the day, I may have told young people like that to actually turn around and go back, but I don't feel that's my business in modern times here, so they're on their own. So I go ahead and continue on, and I thought, you know what, I better stop where I can see them going up that trail and just watch for a few minutes. And so I turn around to look, and right then, and I'm talking about not even 5 minutes after I'd spoken to them, I see a cloud of dust, and I hear the clattering of a bicycle falling down the cliff, and I hear someone shriek out, and I see his buddy come back and start looking down to see if he was okay. And right about then, the group that was following behind me caught up, and I watched for a few minutes, and they were looking down, and I heard the guy who had fallen talking back up to his buddy, so at least I knew he was alive at that point. And of course, I had to go back and check out the scenes. So keeping in mind that I had advised them to walk their bikes through that section and they had not done so, well, I can't bring that up to somebody who's just fallen off, of course. And I asked his friend, and I looked down first, and it turned out he didn't have any broken bones. I asked his friend, do you want me to call search and rescue? And he yells down to his buddy, and his buddy is saying, no, I got this. I can make it back up. And he was maybe 50 feet down this super steep rocky slope, and he had landed in some shrubbery. And what he didn't understand was my concern is he's going to lose his balance, he's going to lose his purchase, and fall the extra, 900 feet, and that would not be pretty. And so what I did was I called in to my contact on the other end of my radio and talked with them. Now, it used to be I could just call the search and rescue, and if I said, I think this guy should stay there and let you, the professionals, pull him up. They would say okay, and they would come. But now the protocol is, if he refuses me 3 times, if I offer rescue service to him and he refuses 3 times, then I just call it in and I just tell them, nope, he doesn't want to be rescued, and my obligation is done. So it turned out one of the Sierra Club leaders from the group behind me decided they would stay behind and just make sure he made it back up. And so I took off, and I waited a little bit longer down the trail watching, and indeed the guy managed to climb back up, and they put a rope on his bicycle and brought it up too. But anyway, I guess my tale here is a cautionary one. Please just don't go where you don't have the skill to navigate, and especially not on a trail like that. And it's perfectly legal, but not worth it in the end. So that's my cautionary tale for the evening, Bob. Sorry I took so long. And the good news is I got to hike down with all the Sierra Club people and chat up one of the lady leaders who was on the tail end of the group. So, even an old guy like me needs some practice sometimes. This is KI6LOV.
That was bloody fantastic. Wow. We actually got to hear the whole play-by-play. That is so cool, Steve. Well, not for the guy, but the ending I think is good, and maybe lessons learned. And of course, we've covered that right before, people knowing where you're going. That's probably isn't really doesn't sound like a great mountain biking trail either. There's got to be better ones out there than that. Great, Steve. Thank you so much. And I guess that was today because it was on your way out so this is as fresh as it gets, folks. All right. Thank you, Steve. As always, our trail consultant, Tales from the Trails. And he proved that one tonight for sure. Let's see. I guess I'll, at this point, ask if there's any other announcements. It's a little bit late, but that's okay. I mean, as far as there could have been somebody earlier. Let's take a pause and see if there's anybody out there that would like to make an announcement before we start the net. All right, hearing nothing, we will continue. I've got a little bit of, I like to give a little, I call it 101. A little bit about the bald eagles I'd like to play. It's very good. Derek did some great research on it. He's one of our researchers that we use. And it's interesting. There's something that I didn't know, and I had to look it up, and that's why I like to learn something each week, and I hope you do too. But it's about the bald eagle, and listen to it and see if you pick up on what it is. I'm pretty sure you will. We can maybe talk about it a little bit as we take some check-in. So stand by for that.
Good evening to everyone on the Papa System, Great Outdoor Net. This is Derek. I will be your Papa System AI research host for this evening. The history of the bald eagle is a dramatic tale of evolutionary endurance, near extinction, and a legendary comeback. While it has been the face of the United States since the 18th century, it only officially became the national bird quite recently. There is often confusion between when the eagle was first used as a symbol and when it was legally designated as the national bird. The timeline of a national symbol. 1782, the Great Seal. On June 20th, 1782, the Continental Congress adopted the design for the Great Seal of the United States, which featured the bald eagle with outspread wings. This made it the national emblem. 2024, the official designation. Surprisingly, for over 240 years, the bald eagle was the national emblem by custom and its presence on the seal, but it wasn't the official national bird by law. This changed in 2024 when Congress passed the National Bird Act and President Biden signed it into law, finally giving the eagle its official title. Evolutionary and natural history. The bald eagle, BM Haliaeetus mlucocephalus, is the only eagle unique to North America. The eagle population peaks. It is estimated that before European settlement, as many as 500,000 bald eagles soared across North America. The near extinction and recovery. The 20th century was nearly the end for the bald eagle due to habitat loss, hunting, and the pesticide DDT, which thinned their eggshells. As of today, bald eagles are no longer considered endangered or threatened at the federal level, though they remain protected by the Bald and Golden Eagle Protection Act. Do you know the story behind the name bald eagle? The name is derived from the Middle English word bald, which meant white-faced or white-headed. So, to the early English settlers in North America, the bird wasn't bald in the sense of being naked. It was just white-headed. Thanks, Bob, for letting me give this bald eagle presentation. Back to W6 CGX Net Control and the Papa System Great Outdoor Net.
Okay, well, thank you, Derek. And that was a little long. I apologize for that, but it's a pretty interesting information. Now, can you imagine? Is that crazy or what? I had no idea. If someone would have asked me a week ago, um, what is the national bird for United States, I would have said the bald eagle, of course. What do you, and well, it is now, but let's say, okay, they would have asked me back in 2023, I would have said the bald eagle, of course. And it wasn't the actual national bird, it was a national emblem. So that just took me by surprise, that first of all. And then, of course, I kind of did some research earlier on why they call them bald eagles, because they're really not bald, but that was a term that they used back in the days of yore for someone that had white hair, or they said white-faced. I don't know what that means. But you know how they had the white wigs back in the day with George Washington and all that kind of stuff. So it makes kind of sense. W6CJX here for the Papa System, Great Outdoor Net. A little bit of trivia there and thing going on. One other thing I just want to mention, because it came to my attention earlier tonight, and we'll get to some check-ins, I do promise. You might have seen lately on the local news that as of March 2026, Southern California is experiencing an unusually early and active rattlesnake season due to unseasonably warm temperatures and high rainfall. The reports indicate that sightings in the areas like San Diego and Orange County have more than doubled compared to last year. And experts attribute this to snakes emerging from hibernation earlier than normal to bask and hunt. So be careful. There's a lot of them out there. We just had someone airlifted the other day here in Ventura County that got bit, young lady, and I think she's okay. I think she was in stable condition, but took her off to Los Robles Medical Center for treatment. Should have followed up a little more on that. But yeah, watch out for them little guys. They're going to be out there, and they probably mass-produced all this time. Okay, that's all I've got for all that kind of good stuff. And let's see, I'm going to take a few check-ins. My question, I guess, of the night, if you've ever seen a bald eagle live, and preferably in the wild. If you've seen one in the zoo, I would say I probably saw one in the zoo at some point in my life. But living in the mountains my whole childhood, I guess, until my teenage years, you would think I would have seen them all the time, but I don't know if there is any in Idlewild or not. I know there are in Big Bear. We know that for sure. So I presume there are. But I didn't see mine until like a few years ago, driving through Santa Ynez, going by Lake Cachuma, and I saw this bird, and I'm like, man, that looks like, okay. Said to myself, if the bald eagles have a white tail, that's a bald eagle. Because other than that, it looked like a bald eagle, but I didn't know if it had white tail. And when I looked it up, his tail feathers were white. So it made the point. All right, let's see who's out there tonight. W6CJX Net Control, please come now.
November 6th, Alpha Quebec, Dale. Foxtrot, Victor November, Jim and Cerritos.
Kilo Delta 6, Lima, Bravo.
Kilo Juliet 6, Golf Echo Uniform, Mobile.
Kilo Oscar 6, Echo Juliet Victor.
Kilo Oscar 6, Lima, Quebec Juliet.
Kilo Foxtrot 4, Papa Quebec Hotel Ron.
K6UZ, Ulster.
Foxtrot Golf Whiskey.
And the floodgates have opened. Good. That's a good, nice chunk. I think I got everybody. I just wrote some partials down, but we'll go with what I have. And if I don't, we will catch you. Please stand by. Let's say hello to Dale in 6AQQ. Good evening, Dale, and welcome to the Great Outdoors.
Good evening, everybody. This is Dale on 6AQQ. The only bald eagle I've ever seen was at the Santa Ana Zoo. So I haven't seen in the wild, at least that I know of. Anyway, N6AQQ, thanks for doing, Bob.
Yeah, that was me exactly. I'm sure I saw one at the San Diego Zoo or the LA Zoo when I was a kid or something. That I'm that's a given. I'm sure they must have them. And I've just over the years, it was kind of like a mini bucket list for me to see an actual bald eagle in the wild. And then, of course, everything kind of fired up with the Big Bear bald eagle cam. That's just amazing. I mean, I pretty much put that on every morning with a cup of coffee and just put it on, let them do their little vocaling, yokeling that they do up there. And my parrot loves it because he's kind of like one. I keep asking him what are they saying, but then I don't understand what he says, so it really doesn't translate very well. All right, well, thank you, Dale, as always, and stay cool. It's not bad right now. It's really nice today and tonight. KE6FVN, Jim, down in Cerritos.
Good evening, Bob and everyone on the neck. Kilo Echo 6 Foxtrot Victor November, Jim and Thrills. Yeah, I've never seen a bald eagle in person, or regardless of the weather. I've never seen one in person, but I've been to the LA Zoo 3 times, and I've been to San Diego Zoo once, and that's the extent of my bald eagles. Other than that, I have a high. KE6FVN.
Okay, Jim. Yeah, well, like I said, that's what I was doing, or my claim to fame was that I saw one in a zoo, I believe, and just wanted to see one in the outdoors. But doesn't always make it that easy because they are a little unless when they're publicized, kind of like the Big Bear and the one in Casitas we've seen many times. That one's Mr. Majestic and Hannah. That's the 2 breeding bald eagles that we see there at Lake Casitas. Logan, KD6LLB, good evening and welcome.
All right, a lot of mayhem going on here. I just put everything back together in the ham shack. This is Logan, Kilo Delta 6, Lima Bravo, and coming in on Saddle Peak. Yeah, it's interesting. I tried for all my life. I was trying to, for many years I tried to see an eagle, a bald eagle in particular. It happens that where I live, we see all kinds of really unusual birds and raptors and falcons and things that I'm not sure what they are. Maybe it's kites, but I never saw a bald eagle. And funny thing, there's a punchline at the end. So when I was on the Sespe, I would look up and see birds, and I could tell there was a little bit of white on there, somewhere. And but they were way in the sky. They couldn't have been bald eagles, and I wondered about that. And anyway, I finally did see bald eagles. Actually, I think it would be Santa Cruz Island. We used to surf at More Meta occasionally, and they were pretty much on the cliffs whenever we went. That on that side of the island there, and so I had that off my checklist. So the one bird, or one of the things that I definitely still wanted to see, was a condor. And despite being in the condor, hiking in the condor sanctuary there, years and years, I never saw one until I went to not the San Diego Zoo, the Santa Barbara Zoo. And I saw a condor, and I realized the males, I guess, have white, big, prominent white patches on their chest. And then I realized I had been seeing condors, just didn't know it. And anyway, great net. Oh, and by the way, Steve, that is the most, I've in all my years, I've never seen anybody go off a cliff for real. And, they should have listened to you. Now they know. All right. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Week coming up. KD6LLB. Back to net. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Logan. Yeah, I guess up there in the Sespe, definitely there's, I think there's that condor sanctuary and all that stuff. I don't think I've ever been there myself, but we've been up to Lake Casitas enough, and that's pretty close. I'm definitely looking forward to our next trip up there. And they'll probably still be nesting, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see, get some good pictures. And yeah, I did you not love that story from Steve? Wow. I mean, it actually had me on the edge of the seat because I had a feeling something wasn't going to happen. And in fact, Steve and I conversed a little bit before earlier in the day, and he wanted to know if I wanted the details. And I said, no, I want to be surprised. And I was. That's so cool. So thank you, Steve, for being there for us and giving us some interesting tales from the trail. All right, Logan, thank you also for all you do and being there and just a genuine good guy. I mean, how many good guys do we have? Oh, yeah, they're all checking in tonight anyway, right? So let's go with Bob. He's mobile, KJ6GEU. Good evening, Bob, and welcome. Always have to have Mr. Bob on. We have to have you.
Hey, Bob. It's Bob, KJ6GEU on Papa 4 Hotel. Hope I'm getting in okay. I don't know if I sound better than you, but at least I got my voice back. The last time I was on the net a couple of weeks ago, I had laryngitis. Anyway, no, I've never actually seen a bald eagle in the wild. See a heck of a lot of red-tailed hawks when we hike, but haven't seen a bald eagle. That one's on the list. I'd like to see one. Rattlesnakes, yeah, I haven't seen one yet this year, but we did see one last May on one of the trails in Simi Valley. So yeah, they're out there, and if there's twice as many of them this year already, watch where you're stepping. Net 73s, everybody out there, have a great week. Take care. KJ6GEU, back to net control.
Well, thank you, Bob. And yeah, I think they're starting to come out. You know, I didn't realize that many people hadn't seen a bald eagle in person. I think it's a cool idea or cool question for the night, because what else are you really gonna ask on a bald eagle net? But I think it's kind of neat because I didn't know that I was the only one that hadn't seen one. But I definitely saw that one, and of course I've seen since. But seen that one going through Santa Ynez by Lake Cachuma, and yeah, it was definitely one. But it was kind of a milestone, kind of a bucket list thing. I think I was still working up there at the casino, I think, a little bit. All right. Thank you so much for getting in. Your voice does sound much, much better. And you sounded good. I mean, you made that effort to check in on a radio net with a laryngitis. So that tells you your dedication to this net, I guess. And I do appreciate it. N6HAL. What the hell is happening? Good evening, Chief.
November 6, Hotel Alpha Lima. Good evening, Bob. Thanks for doing the net. And yes, I have seen several bald eagles. My wife and I took a cruise up to Alaska a few years back, and we did several onshore excursions. And we were going out to a restaurant to have dinner, crab, by the way. And in the bus going out there, we saw several flying over our head as we approached the area. And when we got out, we could see one of them sitting up on top of a power pole. And on the way back, we saw one up in a tree also. So we saw about 2 or 3 sightings, flying and stationary. It's quite a thing to see. And that's the extent of my eagle sightings, except for zoos like everybody else. Back to the net, November 6, Hotel Alpha Lima.
Well, you know, I've heard people talk about when they go on these Alaskan cruises or just go up to Alaska in general, and there's so many up there. I wouldn't say they're pests. I don't want to say that at all, but there's just so many you can't help but see one. So people that go on these cruises, they've landed on the boat, they've done all on the ship, I guess. And when you go into port and different things, and they're just some of the videos you see of different places up in Alaska where there are 2 or 3 or 4 of them just kind of hanging out in the front yard, maybe looking for food, or maybe the person that lives there feeds them. It's like, oh my gosh, we're just lucky if we even get to see one, let alone have that many in the front yard. Well, thank you as much, always, Hal, and good to hear you tonight, and hope everything's well down there and enjoying this well-deserved little coolness. Hopefully we're going to get June gloom and May gray before this is over. Let's say hello to the other Jeff, KO6LQJ. Jeff, good evening and welcome to the Great Outdoors.
Hey, thank you, Bob, and thank you for doing the net. And yeah, I've seen bald eagles in the wild. I was fly fishing in a rowboat on Donner Lake, up near Lake Tahoe. It's just north of Lake Tahoe. and they would come down and they'd be grabbing trout out of the lake a lot quicker than I'd be even getting strikes from where I was fishing. So it was actually a lot more interesting watching the eagles pulling the trout out of the lake than it was just fly fishing. So that was a good day. A good day fishing when I didn't really catch a thing. Back to net.
Well, you know, you always see these great pictures, wildlife photography. And of course, we have one of the best out here in the Papa system, I should say. I think he's down in Colombia somewhere right now. That was Sam, Wildlife Sam. If you go back and look at the archives or listen to the archives of this net, there's one that's called Wildlife Sam, and he and his wife make a purpose and mostly it is birds. He has photographed many birds, and I had the conversation I think with him one time about how when you get these pictures, you see these different photographers where they got the hawk or the eagles got their talons out. They come down and they have just grabbed the fish out of the water. And I used to think, well, how do they, know that fish is going to be right there at the edge of the top of the water? And it's really not so much that it's a fish that probably kind of died or is dying, and it's kind of laying there, and it's fair game, no pun intended. But it's definitely, go down there and grab it. So it's pretty cool. Thank you, Jeff. As always, have a good one. And let's say LeBron KF4 PQH. He's as close to that national seal as the rest of us. So let's see what he's got to say about the bald eagles.
Good evening, Bob and the group. This is KF4 PQH, Locust Grove, Virginia, where it got up to 84 degrees today. Crazy weather in Virginia. Bald eagles, 2019, we were blessed to take the ride. We left in July, came back in September, up to Alaska and around Alaska, and we got up to Homer, Alaska. You get out on the Homer Spit, and out on the Homer Spit, the bald eagles are probably as prolific as the pelicans are along the cliffs and the coast there in the Carlsbad State Park. They were just everywhere. In fact, later on when you get a chance, I sent you a couple pictures of bald eagles on your Facebook Messenger, Bob. But amazingly majestic animals, but they're all over the place on the Spit, right in the water there, picking up fish, sitting next to each other, hollering at each other, and chasing off the other birds. And don't want to mess with an eagle, or at least I don't want to. But hope things are going well there. It sounds like things are cooling off a little bit. Stay safe out there. And 7-3, this is KF4PQH. Back to net control.
Well, thank you, Ron. And yeah, it's definitely cooling off here, and we kind of the height of the afternoon. I think it was like 72, and we really had just a little fan going overhead, a ceiling fan. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. As you get up there, like Homer, Alaska, and around, they're pretty much, there's look how much more fish there probably is, I guess. I presume that's, and what I've been told is that like bald eagles pretty much eat just fish, where like some of the golden eagles and of course hawks, and we have red-tailed hawks right around our house. There's probably a mating pair because they're always chasing the blackbirds away, especially this time of the year because their nest probably, so one of them sitting on the nest and the other one's fighting them, kind of like what they do up to the bald eagle bear, the bald bear eagle, bald bear bill. Okay, I don't know, I'll get it right. You can do the math. So thank you so much, Ron. Appreciate it. And we definitely enjoy hearing you and hearing that you're doing good. And the weather is a little seasonably warm, but we'll see if we can fix that. Let's say hello to Tom, K6COZ. I don't think he's working tonight, but I think he's probably home, hopefully. And welcome, Tom. W6CJX is your net control.
W6CJX, K6COZ. Good to hear you there, Bob. Thanks for having me on the net. Never saw a bald bear in the woods, but I've seen a few eagles flying around in several of the states, Arizona, here in California for sure. More than 3 or 4, I'm pretty sure. My adventures gallivanting around, even just driving down the road a couple years ago, saw one flying over here in Rancho Bernardo. but in Alaska for sure, they're like flying rats. They say they're on every flagpole or telephone pole up there. If you do the tours, and we went to a sanctuary, a rehab center for ones that were shot and injured, and got to see them up close and personal. So they are everywhere in Alaska, and they're beautiful birds. So really cool when you get to see them really up close within like 3 or 4 feet. So pretty neat. So good net, Bob. Bald eagles are awesome. Back to you, Dak, the net control. K6UZ.
Okay, we got another bald eagle winner. No, haven't seen any bald bears, big bald bears. I don't know where that came from, but I do have a slight condition of dyslexia, and I'm proud of it. All right, thank you. I hope you and Elma are having a good, some good times there. Sound like you're. I didn't have the radio on much today, but I did hear you. Or someone was asking you about barbecuing, so that's always a good thing. And always a fun thing to do on a Sunday afternoon. All right, let's say hello to WA6FGW, Steve, one of our other major contributors here on the Great Outdoors. Welcome, Steve.
Okay, well, hey, good afternoon or evening, I guess I should say, to Bob and the net. This is WA6 Foxtrot Golf Whiskey, and mine's going to be a real short report, shall we say. Because it's a duplication of a couple of different members. Yourself, of course, Lake Kachuma. I'm going to say about 5-6 years ago, my wife and I partook in a senior citizen bus ride out to Lake Kachuma. And sure enough, just like clockwork, we were able to see a number of them out there flying around. And then the other one was something even a number of years before that was... as the other gentleman mentioned, some of the excursions that you get a chance to go on, and they're more likely to be spotted perhaps kind of out in the boonies. And I don't remember, one was, I think, part of a train ride out of a bus traveling a few miles in the backcountry. But in any case, it was really neat to see them. Anyway, thanks for doing the net, and keep up the good work, WA6FGW.
Well, you too, Steve. We do appreciate your contribution each week or when you can make it. And we did have our 5-year net the other week or two. I don't think it was last week, was it? It was like 2 weeks ago. Time goes by way too fast. So anyway, that was, I had this one actually planned for last week, which was the super bloom, but I knew the super bloom would start fading by this week a little bit. So I kind of swapped them around and pulled this one out and put it back into this time slot. So that worked out okay. And of course, right now, like I say, with the Friends of the Big Bear Valley and the live cam that you get there on YouTube, it's absolutely fantastic. When they get close to that camera, it is just so amazing that you can see how close they're close to it anyway. But I mean, just when they move around, let's say they're both in the nest, so they kind of get a little closer to the camera, you can get a real detail of their beak and their eyes, and it's just so amazing. All right, well, thank you, Steve, as always. And this is W6CJX for the Papa System. Sunday night, Great Outdoor Net. We'll take a few more check-ins, more stations out there that'd like to say hello or give us any information. If you've ever seen a bald eagle or two in the wild, please come now.
Kilo Eco, giant quail overhead.
WA6MKC.
KJ6GEU, recheck.
Kilo Charlie 6, Whiskey Tango November.
There we can process this list. We ended up with Adrian, KK6H&G, Monty, KE6GQO. I think I got an MKC. So I'll come back to that. I got Bob as a rechecked. Maybe he just saw a bald eagle while he was driving home. And of course, we've got KC6WTN. Let's take, just for fun, let's take Bob. He is mobile, and most of us are not. So, GEU, go ahead. Did you just spot a bald eagle flyby?
No bald eagles, just some guy in a big monster truck with a Philadelphia Eagles logo on the back. But no, I just wanted to say I appreciate all of the information about bald eagles in Alaska, because I'm planning a little get-together up there with some college friends in July for about a week, and I'm bringing my camera. So in addition to the bears in Katmai National Park and the Kenai River, I will keep my camera and my lens peeled for lots of bald eagles in Alaska. So I appreciate the information. Back to net, KJ6GEU. Have a good one, Bob.
Well, you know we're going to have to hit you up after that trip. You're going to have to come back with a nice report. And you might be on a couple different times. We got to get underwater photography at some point, but I'll make sure there's plenty of time. We'll get together with some emails and stuff, but that would be a fun one to have as we approach, summer a little bit. That'd be great. Well, thanks again, and let's go up to KK6H&G. Adrian, welcome.
Hey, good evening, Bob, and everybody on the net. This is Adrian, KK6H&G. So, if I've seen bald eagles, let's say as a child in a zoo, yes. Interesting, in Europe they had a collection of different kind of eagles there. So, sure, I obviously noticed that majestic, large bird, probably one of the largest I've seen anyway. And then I happened to see one in the Sierras last year. And of course, that was after the Big Bear camera and whatnot. But can't stop wondering, hey, these bald eagles, they only like to be next to the water and feed just by fishing? Because sure enough, my experience around them happens to be around water for some reason. So I'm just wondering. KK6HNG, back to net, Bob, and thank you for doing it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they just eat fish as their regular diet. I know that's what we've witnessed in the nest, and some of the research I did before it showed that. And of course, on Santa Cruz Island, they had the golden eagle. Was it the brown hawk? No, it was golden eagle that was coming and killing all the little fox pups. Are they pups or cubs? Pups, I think. And they would take those off, as for dinner. But and then they had to kind of do something with I think they had to capture all the golden eagles out there. And I think they had bald eagles. Well, of course, Logan said they did. But they didn't worry about them because they ate fish. That's how I knew about that. So they'd find fish floating or dive in, I guess, and grab some kind of ocean fish out there. So I think they're fish eaters. But if you can know different, please let us know. All right, thank you. Let's say hello to Monty, KE6GQO.
Good evening, Bob and the net. This is Monty coming to you from Papa 13. I'm here in Anaheim Hills today, but I'm usually in Big Bear. And I get to see the eagles, at least Jackie and Shadow, a couple times a month. They'll be flying around. I was going to give you guys a tip on if you haven't seen an eagle and you want to see an eagle, a certain place that you can go to in Big Bear. There's a little harbor. I wouldn't call it a harbor, but they call it Captain John's. Has a little beach there, and it's just east of, it's all part of Fawnskin. And you sit there on the beach long enough, you might see them fly by, especially this time of year. And it's a lot of fun, so I usually send people over there to check it out. Today I did a hike, about a 4-mile hike in Santiago Regional Oaks Park. And we came across 4 rattlesnakes. Funny that you brought that up, Bob. Anyways, look down at the ground. Just be cautious of something that looks like a stick. 7-3s, thanks for doing the net. KE6GQO, back to you, Bob.
Wow, 4 of them. I've seen 2 at the height of my hiking career in one day, and it was a real hot day, of course, but my favorite way to see a rattlesnake is as it's going across the trail, so it's not coiled up, it's not rattling or trying to strike at me, but it was always that part of the trail where there was like grass and bush on each side, and so he's like he or she's going across the trail. That's fine, but how far do they get before you have to pass that same distance on the trail? I'd usually would wait a little bit thinking like, well, maybe he just coiled up on the other side and he's waiting for me to walk by. I'm sure that's not it. And other times I would just kind of walk as fast as I can. So, but wow, 4 of them. That's, yeah. So yeah, be careful out there, guys and ladies and gents and folks. Please, you know, it's very like no one. Anyway, we don't get all the statistics, but we did that with Wrangler Bruce a while back. That was kind of fun. He's a great guy, and he's in the San Diego area. Thank you, Monty, for coming in. Not from Big Bear. What a disappointment. What a letdown. I mean, geez. Guys, no, that's good. But you brought the snake report, so that's good. We'll give you a quarter for that. All right, Monty, take care, my friend. And let's see if we can pick up MKC. Does that sound right? Mike, like Kilo Charlie.
Hi, good evening, Bob. This is Frank, KO6 Mike Kilo Charlie in Pasadena. Yeah, first time I've seen a bald eagle was, I think, around 2010 in grad school in Lafayette, Indiana. I was just riding the bus to campus early in the morning trying to wake up, and as I crossed a bridge over the Wabash River, looked outside and saw a bald eagle there soaring in the sky, which I thought was pretty amazing. And then I looked back and then saw that there was actually dozens of them just hanging out along the riverbank, perched in trees. So, yeah, if you want to see a bald eagle, Lafayette, Indiana in winter is a great spot. Not the most exotic, but lots of eagles there. So thank you, KO6 MKC, back to net.
Well, good, Frank. That sounds like a good tip. I would never have thought of down Louisiana. I mean, I've been through there a few times, a couple trips to, where'd I go to? Monroe. Had to go to Monroe a couple times, Louisiana, and that was fun. Never went to New Orleans, though. That would be a lot of luck. But yeah, I guess, there's all the different, even Florida, I'm sure, has a few. They're up in the trees, different places. So it's kind of neat. I used to think that the eagles, especially the bald eagles, was like, at the top of the list as far as the food chain, I guess is what I was trying to say. Meaning, like, well, the only enemies that a bird like that would have would be either man or like poisoning or something like that, of course. But other than that, I mean, a bear's not going to jump after an eagle unless it's wounded or something. But I never took into fact that a lot of them get killed on the highway, and not bald eagles, but owls, hawks. All the time I see them going up. Well, I used to see them going up the 101, and they'd be on the side of the road. I'm like, why is there a red-tailed hawk laying there? And you realize that they came down for like an easy dinner, a free lunch type of thing off the roadkill, and couldn't take off in time. Maybe flew like into a big semi truck, something like that, because that's just so sad that they would actually die on the side of the road. All right, well, thank you there so much, Frank. And let's say hello to Jeff, KC6WTN. What say you, Jeff?
Hey, Bob. Thanks for hosting the net tonight. I've never seen a bald eagle personally, and I wouldn't want to here at home because on the patio I bring my cat, Little Bear, out to sit with me. And she would be easy picking, so I don't want to, see one locally. At night, I've seen owls, and they sometimes swoop down in the yard and find mice to prey on. And during the day, I've seen Cooper's hawks. And once I saw a roadrunner in my yard, which was kind of cool because I'd never seen one live before. So with that, I'll say meep, meep, and send it back to net control. KC6, WTN.
No, you got me laughing. That's funny. Yeah, Roadrunner, I used to see them out in Moore Park, so they are in our area, like Yosemite and out in Moore Park, because we used to see one over on Condor Drive. That's where I used to work for a while. And we used to see them when we'd be on our breaks or lunch breaks, and they'd be out there running across the lawn or whatever. I think they live down in the Aurora down there. But yeah, it's kind of neat. I was going to mention, speaking of not having pets outside when there's flying things out there that could take them away, our parrot, I used to love to take him outside, and I'd put him on my shoulder, and he just sits there. He hasn't even been clipped in a long time, but he would make it out of our yard. We have too many trees in the way, and he's just mellow now. He's almost 20 years old next month. Anyway, what I was trying to say is that one time I had him out there, and believe it or not, underneath an umbrella, patio umbrella, a hawk came down, and because he must have seen him sitting on my shoulder from way up there, whatever, but in one big swoop came down, and luckily I turned just the right way, and our little parrot, flew off, I think, towards the house, and the hawk got scared with all that going on, so he just flew through, kind of, and man, that was scary. I didn't know, just out of the blue, literally. Pun intended. Yeah, out of the blue, from the sky. There's this hawk flying through your patio. That was crazy. So I don't take him out and put him outside with me anymore. Needless to say, this is Bob, W6CJX with the Papa System, Great Outdoor Net. Where it doesn't get any more outdoors than that, I suppose. Let's see if we have anyone else. Let's do maybe a sort of last call, but if anybody else would like to check in, say hello, let us know what you did over the weekend that concerned the great outdoors. And as we get into more hiking weather and things, we'll hear more stories from that. So take a few more if you're out there. W6CJX, standing by.
WA6JFK, Brian.
Well, looks like you got it. You beat everyone to the punch, Brian. Welcome, WA6JFK.
Yeah, good evening, Bob. I've been listening and tried to get in once before but didn't make it, so I got in this time kind of all by myself. I've seen bald eagles in the wild years ago up in Anacortes. A friend took us out on his fishing boat, and we saw them. They were pointed out to us on various little islands around there. That was kind of neat. And then there's a real one at this wildlife center up the 5, kind of near the 14 area we go to every once in a while. They have one in there. You can get an idea how big they are. And then the rattlesnake, I saw one yesterday in Griffith Park. I've never seen one there before. I've seen them mountain biking, cruising across the trail and just wait for them to leave. And I saw a little baby one time mountain biking, and I picked a long stick up and kind of moved it over into the bushes. But yesterday there was this one just sitting by the side. He wasn't coiled up. And I just rolled a little pebble near him, and he kind of took off. So then there was a snake in the grass. But I had never seen one up there. I know they're there, but that was the first time. And he didn't rattle at all. He was just resting, I think. And he was off to the side. So anyway, kind of fun. And did a nice hike there yesterday. WA6JFK. Thank you.
Really great to hear you tonight.
I had one more thing.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Well, from what I've heard and read, and I was just looking it up, bald eagles are not really good fisher people or fisher birds. So they have about a 30 to 40% chance of getting a fish. So they often scare other birds, like osprey and stuff, to drop their fish and take them midair. I don't know if they take them midair or when they hit the water. I don't know, but I've seen that before on something kind of interesting. So they are good thieves also to get their food. Back to net, WA6JFK.
Oh, now I get it. They're like bald eagle bullies. It was something like that. Bald eagle bullies. They actually go there and say, look, I'm a bald eagle. You're just an osprey. Although ospreys are pretty big too. And I know they only eat fish. But yeah, that I could just see them, come up and just screech, come behind them and make them drop their fish, and they probably can even grab it before it hits the ground or the water. So that's pretty. I like that. That was good, Brian. Nice icing on the cake for that. All right, let's see if there's anyone else out there has any interest in bald eagles. Would like to save a bald eagle? Would you like to support one? No, we're not doing that here, but you could find some place to do that. W6CJX Net Control. We'll be standing by for a minute. All right. Well, looks like that could be a sign of things to come. I think we've done it tonight. Great job, everybody. We've got 19 check-ins. Not bad. And definitely have seen, let's see, I was trying to keep a tally of how many people saw actual bald eagle, and I think we had 3 or 4. I'll say 4, just to be safe. But I think it was more like 3. Well, me, 4. I count too. I'm part of this darn thing. I'm part of the net, whether you like it or not. Okay. sounds good. I want to thank everyone for checking in. Great time. Learn a little bit. I want to learn a little bit. And if it's about the great outdoors, it's worth every penny. And like I said, to think that the bald eagle was not our national bird until 2024, that is unbelievable. I just didn't know that. So that's my big lesson out of this, my biggest takeaway, I should say. All right, and I want to thank Cecil and the tech team, and of course all the net controllers out there, and everybody that contributes and works so hard. And Brian, he does a lot for us too out there. Thank you, Brian, for all you do for a lot of the D-Stars, and also with the help desk. I think he works on the help desk. So thanks all the volunteers. It takes a village or city to raise one ham, something like that. But we'll figure one of those out. And hope everyone has a great week. We started here every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. So that tomorrow's not really Monday. It's like Sunday Monday. Sunday Monday. 7-3, and I'll clear the airwaves at 21:05 and say 7-3 to everyone, and have a good rest of the week.